Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Going to have a full show tonight. We're going to start out talking with the founder of Gurl Life, and that's Gurl, G-U-R-L. And here the founder is Laura Holzbach. It's really nice to have you here, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. So Laura, the Gurl Life is a fairly new organization.
Yes, ma'am.
And as I was reading about it, I thought it was just for girls, but it's not just for girls, it's for women and girls. Tell me a little bit about why you founded this organization and what your mission is.
Well, it actually started with me coming off of a divorce and some really severe hurts and really struggling to get better myself. Mm-hmm. And I went through a process of getting well and studied through a process and then facilitated that process with some women and just found my calling. I found the place I belonged and just knew that this is what I was supposed to do. And I just had it in my heart. It was born in my heart that I needed to do this, to reach out to other women who were stuck, who felt like they were never going to change, nothing would ever be different, they were always going to be this way, and that I wanted to reach out to them and let them know that it could be different.
So you're kind of an inspiration to those women who are going through things like you went through.
Right, I'm able to share my story and let them know that it can be different. And it started out being just for women, but then as the heart started small, it grew big, and I started thinking, you know, let's get these girls when they start in middle school, before they get too far into life, let's grab them and say, hey, let's do some strategic life planning here and think about your future and who do you want to be and where do you want to go and how are you going to get there, and let's think about this before you could just fall into the backseat of a car with a boy, or before you tell your best friend's secret all over the 8th grade. What kind of impact does that have on your life? What kind of hurt does that cause? And just making sound decisions. And so those are the kinds of things that we talk to with the young girls about, just planning their life and planning their decisions and making sound decisions and taking responsibility for those things.
Right, and being aware of the consequences of their decisions.
Exactly, exactly.
You're right. I mean, those kind of decisions can impact the rest of your life and will impact the rest of your life. And I know everyone probably has something they look back and go, oh, if only I hadn't done that, you know.
Right. Well, and it impacts how you feel about yourself.
True.
And so those decisions really matter.
I don't remember anybody ever talking to me about those things when I was in middle school, so that's really great. So how are you going about doing this? I think originally with the women you had meetings or ladies meetings, is that right? We
do. We have monthly meetings right now in the downtown Gresham area, the second Tuesday of every month. And we talk about that with adult women, and we're currently working through the SUN program. We're working through Gresham Barlow School District. I'm currently already working with my father's house youth to talk with them through the program, and we have a developed program, what they work on every week, certain developed topics where they talk about and journal and discuss openly with each other what they would do in certain circumstances, what they think the outcome would be, how it could be different. And we really want the adults and kids to understand that they don't have to be where they came from, that we can change who we are as quick as from 30 seconds ago. You know, that we can change. If we are coming from a household that's raised with just a grandma, or it's infested with drugs, or our parents just divorced and we're heartbroken, we can step out of that house and put our feet on the ground and go to school and do our good grades and be a good neighbor and participate in our school community, be in sports or be in music, you know, be part of the community. And we can determine by our own decisions, by our own actions, that our life can look different than the one we came from. And I really want to empower these kids to realize that you know, mom and dad or whatever our household looks like, saying, oh, you can't do that, or we don't have enough money, or whatever. How you behave and how you act, you can behave and act your way to a different outcome, and we really want them to understand that.
And that's great, Laura, because everybody has something that happens to them, but it's how we
Everybody
react to
does.
it and how we handle that really makes a difference in our future and how happy we are, really. What kind of response do you get from the girls when you're working with the young girls? Do they really buy into that? Do they understand, even like at a middle school age? And do they support each other?
You know, they do. I was working with an 8th grade class, actually at a private school, and the classroom had actually separated. You could see the separation in groups or cliques, if you will.
Yeah.
And it kind of broke my heart. And as I started talking to the girls, and you saw it kind of melt off of them. They realized what was going on, and once you brought it to their attention, the softness in their hearts kind of crept in, and they all kind of came together and moved closer together. And you know, once you brought it to their attention, and we all started talking about how we felt, and just opened the door, the hard crust kind of fell off. And I think all of us at heart, we just want to be loved. And you know, some of us have a harder crust than others, and I know that was a private school and maybe a little bit of a different situation. But I think as we talk and we're honest and just share what we've been through, and that other people have been through the same thing, it seems to soften.
I'm sure that it does. My feeling is everybody has something they have to go through sometime in their life. And sometimes, you know, kids have a tough time growing up. Their household is maybe not a good, stable household. Sometimes it's much later in your life you have to go through something. But if you learn those skills early, that's going to help for the rest of your life. You mentioned something about making decisions, say about don't tell your best friend's secret. How about social media? Do you talk about that and about the effect of posting things on social media that might come back to haunt you later?
We do. We don't play heavy on that, although that's a big part of their lives, obviously.
It seems to be more and more.
My drive is really obviously how they make decisions and how that comes back to play in their lives. That's a big deal. My drive is really to get them to just think about how each decision they make, whether it be social media, whether it be how they treat a friend or how they behave in school, how that affects their future, what their future is going to look like, what their home life will look like in the future, what their options will be like in the future. You know, we talk about authentic living and being able to be free to be yourself. And we talk about not having to put on someone else's face and pretend to be someone, and to be free to be who you are and what that feels like. And even with the women, we talk about authentically imperfect, you know, that we're able to be ourselves and be imperfect, and that's okay, and be accepting of that.
And embrace it, really. I think that's wonderful.
And so we're more heavy on how we're living and how we're thinking about how we're living, and how we're choosing those decisions and how they're going to impact the future. And hopefully they will consider that when they're doing their Facebooking as well, I hope. Yeah.
Now, does that imperfection have something to do with the way you chose to spell the name of your organization?
It does. Real Gurl came up just because real meant the authentic and true, and who were you made to be. And Gurl spelt wrong because we all know that life gets messy and things happen and things go wrong. And just being real and a real girl. Yeah. That's
great. Now, most organizations have some partners in the community that they work with. You mentioned the SUN program, which is a great organization. What other community partners do you have?
Well, we don't have any locked in right now. We are currently building this, the after-school program, but we are working with, signing on with the SUN program. The Seroptimists are interested in talking and working together. Like I said, Gresham Barlow School District has expressed an interest in doing a pilot program.
And
several
are they
of the
talking
schools.
About middle school, or are they talking about high school?
Middle school.
Okay.
Middle school.
That's good.
We actually have a school district out in Tigard that's interested in talking, and they're interested in starting at 2nd grade.
Wow.
So there's a lot of interest, and as I talk about it in the different meetings that I go to, everybody's shaking their head. Everybody's saying, you know, we don't have anybody doing anything like this. We have kind of lost our way. There's not anybody talking to the kids about how we make our choices and how we behave, and do we say yes ma'am or no ma'am, and just you know, common courtesy even. No one's talking about those kind of things anymore, and I think our kids need a little sturdy hand in how to make decisions about their lives, and this will be helpful.
Great idea. Yeah, it really is a good idea. That teachers, obviously, they don't have time for that. They can't incorporate that into an already overly full schedule. Parents should be doing some of that, but they're not always in a place where they can, especially if their lives are kind of in flux and not in a good place. So.
And I could actually see a principal, even if they had a wayward young lady who may be skipping too much or something like that, this being a class where they say, we need you to go through 9 weeks of Real Girl to not be expelled or whatever.
Right.
And
you can be expelled or you can go through this class.
And
it's
I
like
could
diversion.
even see them that being something that they did, and I would welcome that, to say, hey, let's work together through this and see what we can do, to get you on the right track and me be a willing helper.
Right. So because this is a new organization, you probably haven't had a lot of time to work through a program with the younger kids yet, right? The middle school kids?
No, honestly, we are just getting off the ground. We just became a 501c3. We just started working in January and just became a 501c3 this month. So we are just hitting the ground, just even starting to get funding even.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
If because you're new, you probably, as any nonprofit does, need as much funding as you can get to get your programs off the ground.
Right.
If people are interested in supporting what you're doing, through donations or just spreading the word about it, whatever, is the best way to get a hold of you through your website?
Yes, we do have a GoFundMe, and it's on our website.
Okay.
So there's a page on our website for that, and all the pages are self-explanatory. The page is about the after-school clubs, and you can read up about that.
Right.
There's a page about the women's groups, and there's also the listings of the activities that are going on.
Okay.
So yeah, everything's right there. And a blog too. You can read some of the things.
I read some of that blog.
Yeah.
Now, do you write that? Is that your writing?
Yeah, that's me writing that.
Okay, I wondered that because I read some of it and I thought, oh, yeah, the one I read was about change.
Yeah.
And about, hating change. And,
Yeah.
and hating change is really hard, but it is a constant, like you said in the blog. There's people say death and taxes, but really change is a
For
constant.
sure.
Yeah, it's
It's for sure.
And if you can't adapt to things changing, then you're not going to be a happy person. You're going to have to learn to adapt. I love the fact that you're working with the girls to make positive decisions that will, knowing that the decisions they make will impact the rest of their lives. Do you also talk about the fact that the decisions they make will impact others?
Yeah.
Because really, there's that. You make a decision to talk about your best friend's secret, and that's not going to just impact you. It's going to impact a lot of other people. And so,
Right.
I mean, as an example. So what do you hope for? What do you see your organization in, say, 5 years?
I would really be happy if we had a group in every school every day of the week, and even possibly a lunch bunch. I would love it if that happened at the high schools as well. And I would love to put together a day camp in the summer, maybe partnering with one of the athletic clubs and being able to have like a morning session where we're reviewing some of the Real Girl life,
That'd be great.
and then doing some activities in the afternoon together, but just really inundating the kids here. And we've been asked, could we put the education materials together so that it could be boys and girls, and we're willing to do that too. So we're doing whatever anybody calls on us to do.
And really, if the kids can support each other in this too, I think that'd be a really
problem.
a big part of it. Well, I hope that all happens, and I can see it being an organization that would easily partner with other organizations. In different ways. So
yes, if a school needed us, if a church group needed us, if a Boy or Girl Scout group needed us. If you had a basketball team, a group of girls, and you wanted us to come talk to them, there's a lot of places that you could use us.
Yeah. If you wanted to make videos about how you're empowered as a girl.
Yes,
come on
anything. There's all kinds of stuff. We'd be glad to help.
Okay. So if people are interested, Laura, check it out on your website and find out how you can become involved, or please donate if
we'd love that. Love some donors for sure.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for the work you're doing.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. Thanks for watching this first segment of Community Hotline. Great organization, Real Girls Life, and do check out their website. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more of Community Hotline.
documentary was more than I ever would have dreamed of doing.
This is a community media station.
It was phenomenal.
Ready, camera, one.
What is it about this place that makes so many different people come together?
Ready, camera, two.
Very professional, experienced people.
You can use these industry standard pieces of equipment.
Ready, camera, three. Take three.
You don't have to be rich to do this.
Open people's eyes to something they've never even thought of before.
Cool stuff happens. It becomes this community.
That's going to really change who's telling the stories and who's controlling the messaging.